Do the Spurs have the best rebuild in the NBA? I'm going to find out in a moment. What is up, San Antonio Spurs fans? Welcome to TSR Sports. Came across this article from Sports Illustrated this morning ranking the top rebuilds in the NBA, and this is going to be a live reaction to their ranking. I'm not sure what the parameters are. One would think, and immediately I thought, Oklahoma City Thunder's got to be up the top of that list, right? Well, they did specifically say through the draft, and SGA was not drafted by OKC and played 1 year with the Clippers and then was acquired by the Thunder via the Paul George trade. So I don't think it's going to be the Thunder. Also, I guess a minor spoiler, and you probably saw it in the comments, they do list 4 teams in, I'm not going to say the teams. They do list 4 teams in the web address, and I know the 4 teams, I saw them. I will say out of those 4, I would pick the Spurs as the top rebuilding team. They have the best player in Victor Wembanyama, and I believe they have the most draft picks over the next 5 years out of those teams. Without further ado, though, let's just get into it. So hopefully this is centered kind of well because I am doing this live, if you will. There's going to be dozens of NBA teams vying for the coveted 2024-25 championship next season. Probably not one of us. But at the bottom of the league, a different battle is brewing, so there's where our Spurs come in. Let's take a look at the best NBA rebuilds currently underway and who's best positioned to contend in the coming years. Are we number 1? Okay. And I didn't miss us because I did a reaction video like this once before and I scrolled right by the Spurs on a list, and that was embarrassing but funny for some of you all. So the Spurs are number 1 as I thought they would be. I'm sure you thought they would be as well. If San Antonio only had 7'4" phenom Victor Wembanyama, they'd still top this. Whoa. If they only had Victor Wembanyama, oh, I read that wrong. They'd still top this list. Okay. I was saying I read that at live reaction as even if we didn't have Wemby, we'd still top the list. I was like, what? Say who? No. If we only had Victor Wembanyama, they'd still top the list. Of course. Simply due to his impending NBA MVP candidacy. Let's not forget Defensive Player of the Year as well. But the Spurs have done a good job of amassing talent around him too. I would agree. Players like Jeremy Sohan. I don't know if I'd put him first, but okay. I like Jeremy. I just don't know if I'd put him first. And then recently added Stephon Castle at defense and passing chops. And the team still has plenty of NBA veterans it will be able to offload for value too. Chris Paul, Harrison, Barnes. The Spurs only need to stay the course. Number 2 is the Hornets, and I thought the Hornets would be number 2 out of the teams listed. They've got some good things going. So let's see what they have to say about Charlotte. While most probably wouldn't classify the Hornets a few recent years as successful, no. They do have 2 of the better players on this entire list in LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. That's where I was thinking there. And at least seem to be on the right track in terms of roster construction. I would agree with that. Where are we? Okay, the ad just messed me up. We made the right ad with an upside player. I got to put some salt in the wound. And Tijon Saloon as the 2024 NBA draft, the player I thought the Spurs would be drafting with the 8th overall pick. And other fun pieces, Mark Williams, Trey Mann, and Nick Smith Jr. If they can land one more top selection next season, they'll likely be in business. And this order is actually playing out the way I thought it would. And you'll see why in just a moment here. Toronto Raptors at number 3. And spoiler alert then, the Wizards were on this list too. Oh, they're not. Wait, are they last? Okay, so now I'm thrown off because the 4 teams listed in the web address were the Raptors, Hornets, Wizards, and Spurs. So I thought those were just the 4 teams. Alas, it is not. So the plot thickens. So the Raptors at number 3, the Pistons number 4. But the Pistons are just going to piston things up. That's what they do. They're just moving right along. Trailblazers number 5. Number 6 is the Wizards, and I figured they would be last out of those 4 teams just because Wizards are going to wizard. I mean, that's what they do. That's what they do. Are they last? Oh, we got more. How many teams? Okay. Number 7, the Brooklyn Nets. Honorable mention, Utah Jazz. Okay, so the Nets are actually last on this list. I want to see what they say about the Brooklyn Nets before we wrap up. The Nets bottom out on this list for a few reasons. Oh, I'm a little off camera here. But still have plenty of hope due to the reclaiming of their own draft picks. Okay? They're the newest rebuilding team in the league, having only traded off Mikal Bridges this offseason, and they got a boatload for him, didn't they? But they're also somewhat behind in terms of young talent. They have hyperscorer Cam Thomas and a defensive stalwart Nick Clayton, but otherwise have ground to make up in that department. Yeah. I thought his name was Claxton. Is it Clayton? Might be getting confused with another player. Anyway, that is the list. That's one thing doing these in one take is you don't know what's going to happen. I think I was even like leaning off this way to the camera a little bit, so my apologies. The Spurs are number one. Spurs fans and NBA fans, do you agree the San Antonio Spurs have the best rebuild in the NBA right now at this moment via the draft? Very important. Got to remember that part, via the draft. There are other teams that you may think are building better, but make sure that they're not building better like the Thunder through a trade, which they did for SGA. When I look at the Spurs and who they've drafted on the roster, Wemby's, of course, the most recent. We have the draft class of Sohan, Branham, and Wesley, and that one is still a giant question mark on if any of those three guys are going to be long-term Spurs over the next 5-10 years or whatever. I think Jeremy has the best chance out of the three, but there's still some things he needs to work on. And you got the older draft picks like Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson. So yeah, I agree with that compared to the other teams on this list. Unless they're missing somebody or I'm missing somebody, I would tend to agree with that. And as they said, just Wemby alone puts us up top more than likely over those other teams. But let's also not forget, I mentioned the players that we've drafted that we're still some, we feel like we're pretty sure about. Maybe we're not sure about. Whatever your opinions are about those players. Let's not forget the players that are coming soon to a Spurs team near you. Stefan Castle hasn't played a game yet, but he would fall under that coming soon. But also the draft picks over the next few years, all the first-round picks we have. What if we do get a top 3 pick next year? It could happen. We have our pick, we have the unprotected Hawks pick, and actually we have the Bulls pick too, which is protected, and I think we have the Hornets pick too, which is protected. They have so many draft picks over the next few years, it's crazy. But building to the draft is what this team is likely going to do. I know a lot of Spurs fans drop comments like, I'd love to see Luka Doncic come to the team or insert NBA superstar here. I don't see that happening. It could. There's probably going to be a lot of guys in the league that want to play with Wemby and see us as a big up-and-coming team. But I think this is going to be similar to the Spurs dynasty. Yeah, I'm using the word dynasty. Similar to the dynasties we saw in the past. Tim Duncan, drafted by the Spurs, first overall, when we were the third worst team in the league. Third worst team in the league. Wemby drafted first overall. And then the complementary pieces around Timmy that built that dynasty. Tony and Manu. Can Stefan Castle be one of those guys and we're just one player away from our next big three? Wemby, Castle, and who? I don't know, but it could happen. I'm certainly going to be rooting for it to happen. And that's all I got. So drop a comment down below if you want to share your thoughts on anything we went over today. Hit the thumbs up, like, support the channel, because the thumbs up is the sponsorship for TSR Sports. The official sponsor of TSR Sports is a thumbs up. Hey, why not? It's free. And subscribe if you'd like to join our awesome San Antonio Spurs community or our trash-talking, they suck New York Giants community. That's all I got. Thank you, and as always, go Spurs, go.
To Wembley.